everybody. Welcome once again to the Football Fandemic. We've had a big week of games. We've had a big day of trades, and the Panthers have as many wins as anybody in the NFC North. We're going to talk about all that and more right here on the Football Fandemic. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Thomas here with Josh Kolojeski. We are sans Brandon Colmark today because the Packers lost, and he can't come on and bear talking about that. But we'll talk about it for him, that and a whole lot more. I did start with a stat today I just needed to throw out there, and that is the Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, of such greatness as last year's horrible record and the year before that, they have as many wins as anybody in the NFC North. As a matter of fact, they have more wins than one team. I think we all know who that team is, the Vikings, but the Vikings are clawing their way back. But to think that they would have as many wins as the Lions, as many wins as the Green Bay Packers, which we'll talk about because the Carolina Panthers and the Packers played each other this last week. And even the Bears sitting at 5-3, that's even a surprise in itself. It's going to be a crazy week 9 as we head into the rest of this regular season. But before we get into any of that, we're going to do as we always do and hit some of the big news. And boy, today does have a lot of big news because it was trade deadline day. So start with news that's maybe not trade deadline, unless you want to start with trade deadline. Josh, I'm just going to let you take it. What are we doing with the news today?
Well, we have plenty of injuries. We have plenty of trades. We have it all over the board. So we'll get started with some of the injuries. One, perhaps the most notable, is the one that we all saw on Sunday Night Football, and that was Jayden Daniels dislocating his left non-throwing elbow. And it did not look pretty.
It did not.
Watching
when it happened, I was like almost like, oh, I think that's more than a dislocation. But it was just a dislocation, right?
It was just a dislocation, So ligaments probably torn, but the good news is that it is not his throwing shoulder. I mean, the silver lining, maybe not the good news. So he won't need like a Tommy John surgery like Brock Purdy needed when he tore his UCL in that NFC Championship game a few years ago. So Jayden Daniels, it's still an injury that they have said that it has not necessarily ruled him out for the rest of the season, but certainly a significant portion of the season. So it'll be Marcus Mariota time in Washington, unless they go back to the well, call the Falcons. I don't know if I don't see anything that is broken, but maybe it'll come later into our feeds that the Falcon or that the Commanders go and get Kirk Cousins and bring.
We still have back, 50 minutes of possibility left, and it's not just Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins definitely got his start there, and everybody, and he could shout, "How do you like that? How do you like that?"
After what we saw a couple of weeks ago when he made a spot start, I'm not sure he has a ton left in the tank, but he might be better than Marcus Mariota. Although Marcus Mariota, I mean, every time he's gone out there for Washington, he's performed at least somewhat well. Like even against the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago, they put up a fight early on, and it was just the Chiefs' offense was a bit too much for their defense to handle. But Jayden Daniels, I mean, I think one of the bigger knocks on him coming out of the draft was that he is a quarterback with a thinner frame that does take a lot of hits because of the amount of times he runs, and at LSU specifically didn't take a sliding, didn't do slides a whole lot of the time. So that is kind of something we've seen now this season, the wear and tear that can cause. I don't know if that was necessarily the case. It was just his arm kind of getting trapped at an awkward angle.
Yeah.
But he is out. A Packers player also going to be out for the season. That is Tucker Kraft, their tight end. He tore his ACL, and he had kind of been the most consistent pass catcher in that receiving core, the tight end core for Green Bay throughout the course of this season. They like to rotate a lot of guys in, but the stalwart, the guy that's been there week in, week out, has been Tucker Kraft this year. So they're certainly going to miss that. They're going to need some of their other wide receivers, Matthew Golden, who left that game with an injury as well. That one not as serious, but they'll need that rookie to come up and play some big minutes for them. And Luke Musgrave, who they had drafted high a couple of years ago, is their second string tight end. So it's his chance maybe to make his name a little bit more known out there in eastern Wisconsin.
Yeah. I know Tucker Kraft is a name that Packers fans have been throwing around with excitement. Well, that's going to take a turn.
Yeah, he was having one of the better tight end seasons in the league, in a season that's been really good for a lot of tight ends. And then some more going back to Washington. They lost another couple of players for the season. Their starting cornerback, Marshawn Lattimore, who they acquired at last year's trade deadline. He had a knee injury and he is out for the season. I believe that was a torn ACL as well. And then Luke McCaffrey is also going to be out for the season. He's their second-year wide receiver and kick return man. So those two guys are both out. Jaden Daniels out for a long portion of time. The Commanders not with a great record right now. Their defense looks bad. So it has gone, as is typical, it seems, in Washington. Whenever they have a really good season, a division-winning season, or a playoff-making season, in this case, making it all the way to the NFC Championship, it is immediately followed by the utter pits of despair, and that is where the Commanders currently lay.
It does sound like a season where maybe there will be a bit of the death of the season. So,
and then the 49ers, stop me if you've heard this one before. They lost a player to injury for the rest of the season.
No, not the 49ers. They never lose anybody.
So it's Michael Williams, their first-round defensive end. So they've already lost Bosa, Fred Warner, Michael Williams. Bryce Huff has been in and out of the lineup. It is another big blow to the San Francisco 49ers, who, despite all of that, have now won
winning
6 games. They continue to prove us all wrong week in and week out. And basically, whatever Matthew you've picked, they've just done the opposite of that.
I know.
They just do it to spite you.
I'm just going to have to start picking them every week to shove them down the rankings a bit. Although they're NFC, they don't really matter to me as much.
And then finally, I think this one just came in today officially, is that Joe Alt's high ankle sprain is going to require season-ending surgery. So the Los Angeles Chargers will no longer have both of their all-pro tackles, with Rashawn Slater, of course, getting injured in training camp for the entire season. And now Joe Alt, their second-year star, will not be there for the rest of the season. So just a ton of injuries. It had kind of been like more these last couple of weeks that have been these like 4-week injuries, 5-week injuries, not these season-long injuries. And then the avalanche of that all kind of came here in this week 9 slate of games.
Yeah, it was an injurious week, but you know what? Let's get on to some other news. We are at a certain time of day with less than 50 minutes left, 45 minutes left, right? Before this bell rings.
Did it ring? Yes, it ended 15 minutes ago.
What? Oh, I was like, I always get my time. It's because that's Eastern time, 4:00, right?
Yes. 4:00 Eastern.
That means it's over. I was still holding out a bit of hope for one more trade that will not happen. So let's talk about the trades that did happen. Closing bell has happened, thus the name of the show, Closing Bell. All pencils down. Now you got to work with what you got for the rest of the season. I mean, unless you sign free agents and stuff like that. But what do we got in the way of big trades? I'm just going to let you, even though I want to jump in here, I'm going to let you lead this one.
Well, yeah, we'll start out with there were 2 big ones that both involved the New York Jets. So I'll mention those and then let you go in a little bit more depth on the one that includes your team. But the first one was this one with the Colts, where the Colts trade 2 first-round picks as well as wide receiver A.D. Mitchell to the New York Jets to land all-pro cornerback Sauce Gardner, who was the 4th overall pick back in the 2022 draft. Has been great every single season. Had a little bit of a drop off in 2024, but has picked right back up to his previous heights in 2025. I believe I saw a stat that said that he has not allowed more than 2 catches in a game so far this season. So he's still that lockdown young lockdown young cornerback that has a lot of years left on his contract because he had just signed an extension with the Jets during the offseason. It does cost Indy, of course, those 2 first-round picks. The Jets also get another first-round pick by trading their defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys. They pick up former first-rounder Mazi Smith, who's a defensive tackle. And then they also get a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick. And that first-round pick will be whichever one is better between the one that Dallas got from Green Bay for the Michael Parsons trade and or their own pick. So whoever team finishes worse, the Packers or the Cowboys, the Jets get that pick. So basically, to just balance things off with that Micah Parsons trade, they essentially got one, or they essentially within those 2 trades have added Kenny Clark, have added Quinnen Williams, have gone up from basically a 2026 second round pick to a 2027 first round pick. They've traded in a second rounder for one of those. So 20, 30 spots, depending on where they're all at that point of this upcoming season. And then they traded away Micah Parsons and Mazi Smith. So I'm not sure if they ended up getting the better end
and
of
some picks.
Both of these deals. Yeah. So when it all kind of evens out from where they were before the Parsons trade to where they are now, that's how it all shakes out for the Dallas Cowboys. But the one we're most interested in, of course, is Sauce Gardner going to Indianapolis.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to start off saying I was going into this week fully expecting that we were going to make a play for Trey Hendrickson. I was holding an outside hope that maybe there could still, even though everybody said there's not a chance for Max Crosby to be traded, I thought, oh, maybe they'll make it so appealing that and even last week on the show, Brandon Colmark asked me, Matthew, if you could get Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson for 2 first-round picks, would you do it? And I'm like, I guess so. You can't find good edge rushers. Hate to give away first-round picks. I did not in any way expect that what I would, and then even if it didn't fall to one of those 2, there was the dude from the Bengals, Taylor Britt or whatever. I can never remember that cornerback.
Cam Taylor Britt. Yeah,
I did recognize that the 2 needs we had were edge rusher and cornerback. Right, we needed to shore up that secondary and that edge rush, and I fully expected it to be edge rush myself. I did not in any way expect that we would give up 2 first-round picks, but it would be for a cornerback, and that cornerback would be Sauce Gardner, who I think is a phenomenal player. I think he is a great player, and so I was like a little unsure what to feel when I first heard about this, because I'm like, great player, 2 first-round picks. Oh, and A.D. Mitchell. Okay, so let's break it down and unpack it here a little bit, because that's what I had to do as a Colts fan. I had to break it down and unpack it to decide how enthusiastic am I about this. Let me think. A.D. Mitchell was a pretty high pick for us. What was he, a second round?
Yes.
Yep. I think he was a second round. But I was first to say last year, I was not impressed with him at all. It seemed like, now, granted, when a wide receiver comes into the league, it's usually their 3rd year that they really break out. But his first year, it seemed like he kept dropping balls that hit him right in the numbers. Boom, drop, or he would be turning to look where he was going and totally miss the ball, or he would run a route that was completely wrong, and everybody would know it was him running a wrong route, not the quarterback throwing it to the wrong spot. And so I was like, he's got some growing to do. This year, he started looking a little better, but there would still be things that he would do that would mystify me. And then we all know he went to change hands as he was running for a 70-some yard touchdown and fumbled the ball out of the back of the end zone, not only costing us any points, but also giving it to the other team on their whatever, bad. And then he holds to negate a 60-some yard Jonathan Taylor touchdown. You usually don't say somebody single-handedly cost you one game, but pretty much he did cause us to lose that Rams game. If we would have scored that score, I have a feeling the momentum would have been rolling. Things would have been a lot different. So there's that. Am I sad about getting rid of A.D. Mitchell? No. Do I think he could come back and become a player for the Jets? I do. I think he could, if he takes this the right way and really gets his ducks in a row, wants to prove the Colts wrong, whatever it is, he could. Do I think he will? I don't. I think I think he's, first of all, he's not moving to a better quarterback. I don't think, in Justin Fields, as far as the way Justin Fields throws the ball, or who's the other one? Tyrod Taylor.
Yes.
I don't think either one of those guys are like great quarterbacks. I don't think they're going to be like putting it in better placement than Daniel Jones did. So do I expect him now? The only good thing there is there's one good receiver on that team, right? Garrett Wilson. After that, there's not a lot more. And so he has more opportunity there. So that might end up being something. So maybe he'll prove me wrong and he'll do that. But I do see him kind of continuing to be a decent, like a second string wide receiver. That's going to just be what I think he is. So I think the big compensation comes down to 2 first round picks. We're looking at 2026. We're looking at 2027. Is Sauce Gardner worth that? So I had to stop and think, okay, what we're doing is we're saying we suddenly see, okay, so the Jets, they're looking at what are they, 1-7? I think that's our record right now.
Yes.
They're like, this season's done. The season is absolutely done. Let's figure out where we're going in the future. And so Aaron Glenn, who was a cornerback himself, who was a defensive guy, he was a cornerback, right, when he played?
Yes.
I think he was a cornerback. So evidently, either Sauce Gardner wasn't the kind of player he was looking for. He wasn't who he was looking for in the locker room, or it was just too good a price to pass up, which I think it was probably that last one, more than the fact, because they just paid him in July. They signed him to an extension for $120 million beyond, to make it basically a 5.5 years left from this point. So I think they liked him, but I think the price and just kind of looking at who else he had and what he felt like he could do with him, he felt like it was, whether he felt like it or whether it was just the organization, I'm not exactly sure. But in any case, they say we're done. This year's done. This year's shot. 1-7. You're not coming back from that. Let's start getting a bunch of picks. And boy, did they! Looking at just the Colts and the Cowboys and them next year, in the next 2 years, they have 5 first-round picks. And what did I say? I don't have it in front of me, but you look at their own first round, the Colts first round, and
they also have a 2026 second round, an extra 2026 second
right.
round.
And so this next year they have their first round, the Colts first round. They have their second round and the Cowboys second round. Then you go to 2027 and it's their first round, the Colts first round, and the Cowboys first round. So they picked up 5 first round picks and an extra second round pick. They didn't pick up 5. They'll have 5, and then they'll have 3 second round picks. Well, basically, they're going to be loading up on picks. Will they hit on all those? Well, maybe. But here's from the Colts side, let's look at those 2 first round picks. This year's first round pick is most likely going to be in the 25 to 32, dare we say, range as far as when that pick will be, because the Colts are basically saying, we are Super Bowl bound. That's where we're headed. We're not just looking for a good season to build upon. We're looking to go. Next year, I think the same thing. So what I see when they're taking on this contract and giving up 2 first round picks is they're saying, we like our core for the next 3 years, 4 years. And Sauce Gardner is a young cornerback who is good. Mooney Ward is a cornerback who is good. For the first time in forever, we're going to have 2 really good corners here when Mooney Ward comes back, which maybe after our bye. Would he come back for the Kansas City game? I can't remember when his 4.
I think. When was he placed on IR? Was it after?
I can't remember.
It should. I think it should be right around then. If not then the week after is when he would be eligible to come off. So
very quickly, we're going to have two really good cornerbacks. And I mean, when you think about this, we're going to have, I was kind of writing this stuff down. We're going to have Mooney Ward on one side, who's been shut down corner. We're going to have Sauce Gardner on the other side, who's been shut down corner. Excuse me. We're going to have Cam Bynum and Nick Cross as our 2 safeties, who've been good. We're going to have Kenny Moore as our nickel, who has been good. We're going to have Leatu. Now, giving Leatu an extra half second to get to somebody, will that result in more sacks? Maybe he's going to start looking better because of adding to that secondary. We got Grover and Buck in the middle stopping the run, and that's tough for anybody to get through. And you'll notice even when Pittsburgh beat us this last week, they had a hard time. They hardly could run the ball at all. It was almost all passing. Then you got Kwity Paye over there on the other side. That's the one I thought we would be replacing. I thought Kwity Paye would still be in rotation, but I thought somebody was going to come in that spot. And I was still kind of holding out hope that somehow we would do some other crazy trade and get like Trey Hendrickson. I don't know what we would have left to trade, but that didn't happen. Trade deadline's done. Closing bell is done. So you got 2 picks, and if you think this core, and my assumption is that they are going to sign Daniel Jones to a 3-year deal or something next year, and see where it goes from there. The way you look at this Sauce Gardner contract, what we're paying him this year is $625,000. Way cheap for who he is, because that's the last year of his rookie deal. And now, granted, remember this. Jets just re-signed him, and they did a huge signing bonus at the beginning that we don't have to pay. That's dead money on their cap. I think it's like $36 million they're paying that we do not have to pay. Okay, so we're paying $625,000 this year. We're paying $9.5 million next year. That's still very good, very manageable, no problem. Third year we have him, second full year. So we'll have him the rest of this year, a full year, and then the year after that, $20.9 million, still okay. $26.2 million the year after that. And then the last 2 years, $36.1 million for both of those, but those 2 years are not guaranteed. So what you're really looking at is the 625, the 9.5, the 20.9, and the 26.2 are the guaranteed. My guess is there'll be a renegotiation in there somewhere that spreads that stuff out even further, maybe gives him a little bit of a bump, spreads it out over more years. I totally think cap-wise, we're going to be fine with that. And what we're saying is he's a good young corner. Mooney Ward's a good young corner. Cam Bynum's a good young safety. Nick Cross is young. Kenny Moore, not as young there. But you look at our team, and then you look at Daniel Jones, young-ish quarterback. He's not old by any means. He's got a lot left in him if he's still playing well. Jonathan Taylor's still doing well. Our receivers, what I'm saying is I think they're saying this core is good for the next 3 years. Do we need to add another number one to make it what it needs to be? No, we feel like this team can get to the Super Bowl, this core. Now, they'll still add stuff in the second and third round, and that's typically where Chris Ballard does better drafting anyway. He hasn't been like the best at the first round. Although I'm still okay with Laiatu Latu, who got 2.5 sacks, I think, against Pittsburgh. But I think what we're looking at is they're going to get a very low first round pick this year, and I think they're going to get a very low first round pick next year. So if I was looking to give them 25 to 30, spot 25 to 30 in the first round, 2 of those picks, that doesn't feel as bad to me as when I hear first round, I'm always thinking like top 5, top 10. Well, we're not going to be in the top 5, top 10 this year for sure. And I think if we have this same core and we have a defense like this, that hopefully Sauce works out well for Lou. I really, really would have liked to seen somehow a little better edge rusher. and maybe our edge rushers will start looking better when there is absolutely no one to throw the ball to. My guess is we're going to go to a lot more man coverage, even though, we've seen more now than I feel like we've seen ever. Not ever, but maybe for a long, long, long time with the Colts, we've been like a cover 2 team almost all the time, it feels like. I think we're going to see a lot more of that man thing with what we consider 2 lockdown corners. And so I think there's going to be a lot more people rushing. I think there's going to be a lot less time for opposing quarterbacks. I think our edge rushers might see a bump in production. Yeah, young core for the next 3 years. And one thing that, I keep hearing, I don't have a lot of insider NFL exec knowledge, but when I hear people who do have a lot of that kind of insider knowledge, they say that the NFL executives around the league feel like there is a shortage of good cornerbacks. Almost every team has 2 really good receivers. There's enough of those to go around, but there's not enough corners to stop all those receivers. And so to have 2 really good corners And granted, we got Jalen Jones came back. He, got us anyway. We've got some second round guys. We got Blackman and I can't remember, but to have those two really good corners, that's a huge deal in today's NFL. And so, while when I first saw 2 first round picks, forget whether they throw in AD or not. When I saw 2 first round picks, I was almost like, yikes, that's too much. But the more I think about it, the more I think that is not too much. I think this is a really good trade for the Colts. I think this is a really good trade for the Jets. I think this is one of those rare trades where it looks really good. Everybody who's a Jets fan that I'm talking to, they're like, man, I feel like the Jets won this one. Everybody who's a Colts fan is like, I feel like the Colts won. This is what we need. And 2 first round feels like a lot. But when you put it into perspective, I think it's okay. I don't know. Yeah. What are your thoughts? You're as much up on what the Colts are and their statistics and everything as I am. I'm just like a diehard fan.
Yeah, I much like you, I like the trade for both of these two teams, and I think the contract situation makes it a lot more valuable. It's a trade that's not too dissimilar from the Micah Parsons trade, because the Packers, they give up Kenny Clark, a veteran player, but a player that is kind of probably right now, he's on the downside of his career, and maybe AD Mitchell's on the uprise, but they're about at the same sort of stature, I think, in their careers. But AD Mitchell now obviously has a little bit more potential moving forward.
Real quick, I know you're wanting to continue this train of thought, but I just want to throw in, as far as AD Mitchell, I didn't say this. He was kind of sitting in a weird place because we have so many receivers right now. When you look at Pittman and Josh Downs and even Jonathan Taylor catching out of the backfield, and Alec Pierce doing the long ball, and Tyler Warren, who has been an amazing huge tight end receiver for us. There was like so many people we're trying to feed the ball to that AD Mitchell already was kind of standing odd man out. And and maybe that's where Kenny Clark was for the Pack. I don't know.
Yeah, and really, they're all complementary wide receivers on Indianapolis as well. They all fit certain archetypes that you like to see from your number 1, number 2, and number 3 guys. So it's definitely not, you're not concerned about obviously giving that up, and you also get now the contract that was already in place, so you get a little bit more value there, and it's a contract that doesn't have as big of a cap hit as, say, Micah Parsons does. He didn't have the contract going to Green Bay, and then they needed to sign that contract, and his cap is going to severely limit what the Packers can do in free agency moving forward. It's not going to have that same sort of effect, at least over the next 3 years in free agency, that Sauce Gardner's will have on the Colts, because $26 million for a corner, that's about the going rate right now in free agency for even a guy like Byron Murphy, who the Vikings signed for a similar amount at that contract. But now you get that with Sauce Gardner, and you still have, compared to the Micah Parsons trade, $15 million extra to spend in each of those 3 off seasons. Yeah. And then from the Jets perspective, I am a little bit worried about what the Jets will do with their first round picks. Now, they have in the year 2000, they had 4 first round picks. They selected defensive end Sean Ellis, defensive end John Abraham. Both of those guys had solid careers. Abraham, I think, more so with the Falcons. Chad Pennington, who was a Pro Bowl quarterback for a couple of seasons, and then tight end Anthony Becht. So they got all of those guys, and they didn't make the AFC Championship game until 2009 and 2010. They haven't won a playoff game since, despite in 2022 getting 3 first-round draft picks and really knocking it out of the park with Sauce Gardner, with Garrett Wilson, and with Jermaine Johnson. They did about as well as you could expect a team with 3 first-round picks in 2022 to do. And what did it get them? A max out of 7 wins in one season. So that is a little bit concerning. I think a real winner right now, if they play their cards right, that is neither of these two teams, could be the Tennessee Titans, because both of the Browns and the Jets are going to be in the market for a quarterback. And if the Titans can secure the number 1 pick once again,
they
are going to have two teams that have loaded up on first round picks over the next 2 seasons, with the Browns from their Travis Hunter and the Jets now from these pair of trades. They can extort a heavy fee on both of those teams. Not move down super far in the draft, probably still get the guy that they would have selected number 1 overall, whoever that is, because they have their quarterback in place.
Right.
It might be the perfect storm for the Titans if they just lose the rest of their games.
In effect, you're saying the Colts might have lost this trade in the long game when the Tennessee Titans get really good because of all these picks they get.
Yes, when Cam Ward is lifting the Lombardi Trophy 4 years in a row, in from 2029 to 2033, you will be ruining this day. But no, I mean, I like the trade for both of these teams, and let's see if the Jets can do something with it.
Yeah, and let's see if the Colts can. The other big winner we didn't really say in all this is Sauce Gardner. He just went from a 1-7 team to a 7-2 team. He's flying to Germany this week to play, and he plays the kind of game that he can just be put in and told cover. What's the dude in Atlanta? The receiver,
Drake London.
Yeah. They can just say, "Hey, whatever you're doing, you're covering Drake London. Go," and he can do that. And so, if he has his passport, which he should, because I think the Jets did the Jets play overseas? They did. They played overseas once this year. I think it was Rich.
They played against the Broncos in one of the worst games we've ever seen.
Yeah,
13-11 was the final score.
Right, and so I can't think of his last name. Run, Rich, Run.
Rich Eisen.
Rich Eisen was talking, and he said this might be the first guy to play in two different countries outside of America with two different teams in the same season. And he's right. I think he could be plugged in that quickly. And so anyway, I think the real winner is he just went from a 1-7 team to a 7-2 team and has a chance to really help this team push to the Super Bowl. And for him, has he had that since he was drafted? Absolutely not. So although he woke up and said he was shocked by the trade, I think his brother is his manager. His brother said, I gave him a call and he was a little shocked, but we're going to a 7-2 team and business is good. And so I think he's probably like, once he gets over the initial shock of, man, I was kind of used to being a New York guy. It's going to be different going to Indianapolis. But I think there'll be a lot less distraction. I don't know how distractible he was anyway. I think it's going to only be good for his career and good for his winning and good for a chance to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm going to speed run through the rest of the trades that have been made since we last talked, and you can talk about any that might interest you at the end. Trevor Penning he's an offensive tackle. He goes from the Saints to the Chargers because the Chargers need anybody. He was a former first-round bust. Let's see. Rashid Shaheed, wide receiver, goes from the Saints to the Seahawks.
That's a big one.
Jacoby Myers, wide receiver. That is a big one. Jacoby Myers, wide receiver, Raiders to Jacksonville. Jalen Phillips, edge rusher, goes from Miami to Philadelphia. The Bears get from the Browns an edge rusher, Joe Tryon Shoyinka. Because their edge rusher, another injury, Dio Odenigbo, is out for the season. He got injured in this most recent game. Draymond Jones, an edge rusher, goes to Baltimore. Logan Wilson, linebacker from Cincinnati, goes to Dallas. Jair Alexander, cornerback, goes to Philadelphia. Michael Carter II goes to Philadelphia. John Mechie III goes to the New York Jets. Keon White from the Patriots to the 49ers. And Kyle Duggar from the Patriots to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So those are all of the trades that have been made since we last spoke. The Rashid Shaheed one you mentioned was the big one. And I agree, but I'd like your perspective as well.
My perspective is you got a fast guy who just went to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold could use that guy and will happily have another weapon. He's looking really good with Seattle already. I think that's nothing but good for Seattle. I don't think it's good for, where did he come from? Saints. The Saints are kind of like where the Jets are. It's like this season's done. Was he good? Sure. They could use picks and start to rebuild and stuff. So I think that was really good for Sam Darnold. I don't know what they got for him. I don't know how it turned out, like compensation wise for the Saints, if it was a win for them or not. But did you say what they got?
The Saints got a 2026 fourth round pick and fifth round pick. So
Okay,
they're
so
not,
that's not that expensive.
no.
I think that's really good for Sam Darnold. And then I think the Jags got somebody from the Raiders. Who'd you say?
They got Jacoby Myers, who's
Yes,
been
Jacoby
basically
Myers.
wanting out of Las Vegas since June, basically.
Right. So I think that was good for the Jags. Do I think that was enough to move the needle in the AFC South? Well, not once the Colts did the Sauce Gardner thing, because Sauce Gardner's going to be batting that ball down. So.
I like both of those trades. I also think Jalen Phillips just helps Philadelphia with an edge rush that hasn't always gotten pressure this season so far, and we know that Vic Fangio likes to get pressure with four. You got a guy that can win a little bit more off the edge to pair up with Nolan Smith on that defensive line. But yeah, Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks is going to be huge. I think they had MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, as a free agent. They cut him at during the preseason, and the idea was he's a super fast wide receiver that can clear out a lot of underneath stuff and break down coverage if the coverage has some sort of miscommunication in it on the opposite end, and score a long touchdown for you. Rashid Shaheed is that, except he can run routes a little bit better, has better hands, and brings you a little bit more in the return game as well. And he was with Clint Kubiak last season before he got injured, and was having a career year with Clint Kubiak before he got injured. So I think that is really going to put the Seahawks over the top here and really allow them to make a run for the NFC title.
Yeah. I think Seahawks are looking like a team to be worried about if you're the rest of the league right now. All right. Well, good news. Not all of it was good news. Not all those injuries for the teams they were on, but a good news segment with some big important bits of information. We're going to go ahead though. Do that rewind and look back at last week's games and kind of what we thought would happen versus what did happen, and just look at the games themselves. We're going to start where we always do on that Thursday night game, the Ravens and Dolphins. I don't think any of us picked the Dolphins to win that, and lo and behold, the Dolphins look gross again. 6 points to 28 for the Ravens. The Ravens would like to say, look at us bouncing back, and we would say that too. But it is the Dolphins, so we'll see. But good for the Ravens, gets them up to 3 wins. Dolphins, the biggest surprise to me is that Mike McDaniel looks like he's safe till the end of the year from the reports. I can't believe it. I thought for sure, this is the thing that'll get him fired right when he needs to be fired. No, they came out and said, yeah, we're not getting rid of him, at least till the end of the year. And so I was a little surprised by that, but Dolphins will be Dolphins, I guess.
I think one of the things there that factors into it is that on those end of year report cards that the player association does, all the players love Mike McDaniel, and he always gets like an A+ in that realm. So I think removing him in the middle of the season as opposed to that end of the season might cause more future rifts within the team, just because of how that can affect the players in the middle of the season. Where if it was a coach that nobody liked and everybody hated, they would certainly love that. But Lamar Jackson made his return in that game and looked like he didn't miss a single beat. He threw 4 touchdowns, whatever it was. He looked really, really good. And the Ravens defense now 3 games in a row has looked good. And that has kind of all coincidentally been when they brought in Alohi Gilman from the Chargers to be a free safety and have allowed Kyle Hamilton to go back into the box and stop the run a little bit more there and kind of just play in a position that he is much more familiar with and has thrived in since coming into the NFL. So I think moving Kyle Hamilton has really done wonders, and that was because they were able to get Gilman from the Chargers.
Yeah, and to go back to your point about like the players loving Mike McDaniel and not wanting to create rifts, we do have to remember that I think they are tied to Tua. They've put their eggs in that basket, and they can't be making like everybody angry right now because they basically got to keep some of these players. And yeah, but by the end of this year, I bet the players even will be ready to say, "See ya, Mr. McDaniels."
Yeah. Yep.
Our second game, the first one on Sunday, Bears versus Bengals. I believe this was one of our contested games of the week. I said the Bengals were going to beat the Bears in this one. Is that right? Why would I have said that? I did say it though. And why did I say that? That doesn't make any sense to me as I look at it. But
I have you with the Bears.
Did I?
No. Oh wait, never mind. That was a different game. That was the Bears Baltimore game. Yeah, I don't know where mine is. You have the list.
I have the list here, and you chose the Bears, and I chose the Bengals for some reason, and so you were correct. The Bears did win this game, and they moved to 5 wins. Everybody in the AFC North almost has 5 wins. It's crazy. You're only 1 game out, the Vikings with 4 wins, but I always expect the Bears are going to start falling back, and it looked like that was going to happen a little bit earlier in this year, but lo and behold, they're sitting right there with the Packers and the Lions. I did not expect the Packers and Lions to lose a couple games that they did, but here we are. Bears at 5-3, Bengals at 3-4. They're going to be wishing they would have traded Trey Hendrickson to the Indianapolis Colts before too long. They probably pushed a little too hard for what they wanted, and then we go get Sauce Gardner, and the Bengals are like, dang it, we should have taken those 2 first they offered us with A.D. Mitchell or whatever. I don't know if we would have offered that for Trey or not, but anything about this game?
It was wild. 47-42 was the final score, but we both kind of, I think I had said my rationale behind picking the Bears was I don't trust the Bengals defense. Well, I similarly should not have trusted the Bears defense because they almost blew it. Up 41-27 were the Bears with about 2 minutes left. The Bengals score a touchdown, recover an onside kick, and then score another touchdown and go up with, what was it? I think 35 seconds or so left to go in the game. Caleb Williams down by 1 does get them into field goal range on a very nice long throw to Colston Loveland. And that would have been good enough. They would have been able to get down, spike the ball, and give Cairo Santos a chance to kick a game-winning field goal as time expired. However, the Bengals secondary forgot how to tackle, and Colston Loveland bounced off about 3 guys that were all in his general vicinity upon catching the football. And instead of getting down in field goal range, he was down in the end zone for a touchdown that ended up icing this game. So just a back and forth affair. The Bears had 4 different players throw passes in this game, all of which were happening while Caleb Williams was on the field. DJ Moore threw a pass. Cole Kmet threw a pass. Tyson Bagent lined up as a wide receiver, threw a pass to Caleb Williams, who had 2 catches in this game, threw 3 touchdowns, caught another touchdown, and really probably had his best game as a pro, albeit against the Bengals defense. They have won 5 of 6. They are extremely hot right now and are picking up some momentum in the NFC North.
Yeah. So I know that I live in Illinois, so I hear the people's surprise and joy. They didn't think that this would be the case after the first few weeks, but here they are. Staying with that NFC North, we got the Vikings and Lions game. This was another one of our contested games. I said the Lions were just going to be too much for the Vikings here. They were going to come out and take care of business, but lo and behold, the Vikings, 27-24 over the Lions. I'm going to let you talk about this. This is your team. They did it. You picked them. You got the second so far of our contested games, our 2 contested games. You're rolling right along. Tell me about the Vikings over the Lions.
I'll first say that if I was picking with my brain and not my heart, I would have picked the Lions very easily in this game. But I picked the Bears in week 1 against the Vikings, and it just didn't feel right. So I think I'm just going Vikings the rest of the way. And in this case, it ended up working out for me. JJ McCarthy returned from his injury. He hadn't played since week 2. First quarter of the game, he looked really, really good. And through a pair of touchdowns, one was a dime to Justin Jefferson that was set up by a dime where he was rolling left, it moved in the pocket well, and got a pass to Jordan Addison off that was in single coverage and was exactly where it needed to be. Addison made a diving catch in that instance, and he was just throwing accurate passes throughout that first quarter. It ended up with the Vikings leading at halftime 17-14. He had some more issues once the pressure ramped up a little bit, and the Lions were getting to him a little bit quicker in the second half of this game, and he didn't complete as many passes, and in fact missed high on some layups. So I think that is still a little bit concerning. He threw it over the head of Justin Jefferson once, but he also got some nice accurate passes that were dropped on him. One to TJ Hawkinson. And that, I guess that was still in the first half, but it was towards the end of the second quarter. And then he threw what would have been a touchdown to Jordan Addison, and Addison just dropped it. There was some good coverage there that perhaps impeded Addison's vision a little bit, but it was, from McCarthy's perspective, a perfect throw. McCarthy later in the second half rushes for a touchdown once the pressure had broken down. But I thought all in all, he handled his first game back really well, and it was probably his best overall performance from this season. And the Vikings offensive line, even though they were giving up a lot of pressures, a lot of it were simulated pressures where Detroit's defense was just able to mix up who was rushing the passer and confuse the Vikings offensive line a little bit. It wasn't as if they were just getting absolutely pounded by Aiden Hutchinson, they were getting absolutely pounded by whoever he was lining up against. Brian O'Neill, Christian Harris, that didn't matter. But a lot of the interior pressure that was created was not created because it was guys winning one-on-one matchups. It was created because of scheme by Kelvin Shepherd, who, by the way, just one of the best defensive coordinators already, I think, in the NFL. So for McCarthy to do that against that defense, I think is certainly a positive. And then for the Vikings defense to really step up against a team that has had their number on that side of the football for the past 3 or 4 years. And granted, they had Ben Johnson there for a little bit of that, and he's no longer there. But it's a team that had consistently battered the Vikings running the ball specifically. And on the first drive, it looked like that would be more of the same because the Lions went right down the field and scored a touchdown. But from that point on, the Vikings defense really held down Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They didn't allow a whole lot of big holes in the running game. The bigger runs that the Lions got were because of some missed tackles by the Vikings, but everything was fit well on that front seven and with the safeties and nickel cornerbacks coming in. So they shut down that piece of the game, and then just leading forced the Lions to throw a little bit more than they're used to. And what they did, because the Lions' interior offensive line is not what it was last year, it has been kind of their Achilles heel. Like Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell on the outside are fine. So they wanted to create as much confusion with a second-year guard and a rookie guard, create as much confusion with those guys as possible. So they just ran this cross dog linebacker blitz, which is where the two inside linebackers, they'll line up in the double A gap, which like Mike Zimmer loved to do, but they will blitz by switching sides so if he is on the right A gap, the linebacker on the right A gap will blitz the left A gap, and it acts as kind of a stunt or twist. And the Vikings did that a ton, and the Lions had absolutely no answer for it. And also what it did is it meant that they couldn't put Jahmyr Gibbs in the receiving game, where a lot of the mismatches that they had created in the 2024 matchups were, we'll just split. If we see a blitz coming, we will split out Jahmyr Gibbs wide, and it'll just put him against Blake Cashman, who's good in zone coverage, but one-on-one against Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have some issues. But he now needs to stay in for protection because they're spamming the inside. They're just putting a bunch of pressure on the inside, and he needs to pick that up. And they also had been beat in the blitz game by the short outside passes that Goff would complete. Here they had their edge rushers do a lot of the dropping back into coverage and prevent those lanes from being there. And we're doing a lot of simulated pressures with those cross dog blitzes on their own. So really good scheme by Brian Flores. He finally gets his first win as a Vikings defensive coordinator against the Detroit Lions. And it was just a really well played game by Minnesota all around.
Yeah. And one that I'm sure you're happy to watch this last week.
Yeah.
Let's stay in the NFC North. Since we've done that in the last two games, Packers played the Panthers. I think we all thought the Packers would handily take care of the Panthers. I don't think any of us voted against. No, we didn't. But the Panthers, the surging Panthers, now at 5 wins, just like the Lions, just like the Packs, just like a lot of
Bears.
teams. Yeah. The Bears, yeah. If I'm looking at the NFC North, the Panthers are 5 wins. And now the Packers are also still just sitting at 5 wins, but with 2 losses and a tie. But strangely, that NFC North is still Packers, Lions, Bears, Vikings. Isn't that crazy? all within one game of each other, 1.5 games. Anyway, the Panthers beat the Packers, not what anybody was expecting. And you were talking about some of the stats of this game, that kind of a beating before we started the podcast. Why don't you go ahead and tell us those again here now that we're on air?
So the Panthers were a 13.5-point underdog, and a 13.5-point underdog in the whole NFL has not won a game since 2023. So 2 years it's been since since an underdog won a game, that bad of an underdog won a game. And for the Packers, since the merger, they have not lost to a team that they were favored by 13.5 points against. And they were at home. They were at Lambeau, and the Panthers got it done in the running game, and they also got it done by really stopping Micah Parsons from getting any pressure. It was the first game in Micah Parsons' career where he did not record a single pressure. And some of that was double teams. He did face a high double team rep, but he also went one-on-one with Ife Okonkwo 9 times, and on none of those reps did Okonkwo lose. So a lot of that is probably in the game plan of Bryce Young also getting the ball out quickly because he didn't really target downfield a lot. And then also it was the run game was effective for Carolina. So Micah Parsons could not just pin his ears back, as the cliche goes, and rush the passer the whole time. And they had runs that were designed for Micah Parsons to go upfield on and then run through the gap that he was supposed to go through. So it made him look worse than he probably actually was, but it was because they were having an effective run game with Rico Dowdle. They finally just kind of gave him the keys to that backfield instead of having him split time with Chuba Hubbard, which they had done the last 2 weeks after Hubbard had returned from his injury. And he picked up right where he left off when he was the lone back in those 2 replacement games for Chuba Hubbard, and had another couple of scores, basically got them in to position for a game-winning field goal in the wind at Lambeau from 49 yards out. Ryan Fitzgerald nails it and sends home the Packer faithful very, very angry and displeased.
Very angry. So angry that Brandon decided not to even come on the podcast today. That, and he scheduled some work at this time. So, unfortunately, we're sorry for all you Pack fans out there, but you're going to have to wait one more week. This would have been the perfect week for you to take that full jump over the rest of the NFC North. You did not get that done. Broncos-Texans was our last contested game that we had here, which thank goodness for it, because otherwise you would have had a perfect contested score. You picked the Texans. I picked Broncos. Broncos 3 points over the Texans. That was a good Texans defense. Low-scoring game. And C.J. Stroud, I believe, left the game with an injury as well. I don't know if we mentioned him in the injuries, but...
Yeah, he was concussed in that game, and this game was Davis Mills playing for a lot of the second half, for all of the second half. I think all of the final 3 quarters, because I think Stroud went down in the first quarter or early in the second. And I mean, it was in the fourth quarter when the Broncos beat the Giants a couple of weeks ago in the fourth quarter. It was touchdown. This was the exact opposite. I believe there were like 4 or 5 3 and outs between these two teams. Bo Nix looked bad. Davis Mills looked bad. But Bo Nix was able to get one. It wasn't even through the passing game. He was able to get one good runoff on a scramble to get the Texans into field goal range and to put everybody in that stadium out of their misery for having seen that game, because the end of it was just like, okay, this is going to come down to someone muffing a punt or just one broken play. And because the defenses were playing well against, the Broncos defense against the Houston Texans offensive line, that's a huge mismatch. And then when you don't have CJ Stroud in there, and instead it's Davis Mills, it makes it even worse. Mills had some receivers open that he just straight up missed. I think obviously if CJ Stroud is in that game, he is able to hit those guys, and it's probably a different result. But as it was, Mills is in there, and the Broncos now are 7-2 to the credit of everybody on that Broncos team except for Bo Nix.
Yeah, they're our first 7-2 team that we'll talk about today. And we're going to hit the next one right here with the next game. Patriots-Falcons. This one's only a 1-point game at the end, but it does boost the Patriots into that 7-2 top of the league record right now with 2 other teams. And the Falcons lose another one. Falcons now down 3-5 on the year. Patriots 7-2. Drake May continues to wow people, and the Patriots continue to win. They are, I don't even know how many games ahead of the Bills. I don't have the standings here.
I think the Bills are 6-2.
6-2. Yeah. So one game up, and keeping the pedal to the metal, making the Bills fight for it. So we'll talk about the Bills because that was a big game too. But Patriots beat the Falcons by 1 point.
And Drake May had 5 first down completions on 3rd and 10 or longer in this game. Most of those came in the first half where the Patriots offense was really dialed in. The Falcons defense stepped up in the second half and kind of was able to stuff Drake May's passing attack a little bit more than they had in the first half. So that's some good news if you're the Falcons. Some more good news is it wasn't your offense's fault that you lost this game. And in fact, you had a game-tying touchdown scored, but your kicker is the real issue here. You had gotten rid of Younghoe Koo, and you bring in Parker Romo, formerly of the Vikings, formerly John Parker Romo, and he misses an extra point that would have tied the game and perhaps given the Falcons a chance to win, or just maybe another chance for Drake May to play hero ball and get his team down the field to win anyway. But we never got to that point because a kicker missed an extra point, which is just so frustrating on a day where we'll talk about a kicker hitting a game or a NFL record field goal. We also have a different kicker in a different part of the world, a different part of the country, I guess, missing an extra point to lose his team the game.
Yeah. And it's one of the worst ways when everybody's thinking, what could have been? But the Patriots continue to move forward. 49ers, we talked about the 49ers winning, even though they've had so many injuries, and they continued again this week. This was the Giants. You wisely did not choose the Giants to win this week. We all chose the 49ers. Wait, we all chose the Giants. We all unwisely. I was going to say we were all together on this, and I'm like, wait, I was against the 49ers. We were all against the 49ers. We all picked the Giants. We all were wrong. 49ers, again, with all their injuries, beat the Giants, and now are 6-2. Giants 2-7.
And it's basically just Christian McCaffrey picking up everything and carrying everything.
It is.
Because he just gets it done on offense. They still don't have Brock Purdy left, and Mac Jones is fine, but it's really Christian McCaffrey. And also, we knew that the Giants would have a very good pass rush, but what I had forgotten or just didn't take into account was how, even though their defensive line is excellent rushing the passer, how bad they would be against the run, because they have just gotten gashed these past few weeks. And in that game, it was no different. And I am fully jumping off of the New York Giants bandwagon.
He is ready at 2-7 to say, I was wrong.
We are we have sold all of our stock in the Giants. We have taken a loss, but we'll reinvest next year. Maybe.
So we had a jumping off of the Giants. You were trying to start the bandwagon. You were trying to be the first, the visionary, to say the Giants are going to be something, and we'll have to blame it all on Scatterboo going out. That didn't work out for you.
Yes, that is why. It had nothing to do
that's the why.
with me.
The next game, Colts versus Steelers. We all picked the Colts to win this one over the Steelers, and we were all wrong. 27-20. Didn't feel like a one possession game, even though that's how it ended up. And this one started, the Colts started looking like an elite team, moving down the field, lots of plays, touchdown, boom, everything looking great. Well, let's start this. Steelers started with the ball and immediately had a bad miscommunication, just barely missed reception that kind of set them behind the chains, ended up 3 and out. Colts go down, score, look great. Thought it was going to continue that way. Colts started off in their second drive looking good, and then everything in the world went wrong. over and over and over again. And it all had to do with Pittsburgh having an amazing and dominant defensive line performance against the Colts. It seemed like they were rushing 6 like all the time, which is not what they normally do. They did. It worked, and we couldn't figure it out for the life of us. It started off with a strip TJ Watt, right? Came in there and just stripped the ball out, took it, fumble. I think let's just get this out of the way. 5 turnovers by Daniel Jones alone, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Not the way you want to start your day. That strip, that was TJ Watt getting there and doing what he does. He just took it away, and I'm going to give that one to them. Daniel Jones should have gotten rid of that ball earlier. There was another interception. I can't remember what order they were in now, but there was one that very much looked like something that was a Daniel Jones fault. But then there were so many. First of all, let's start with the muffed punt. Josh Downs looks like he chooses to let the ball go when it's punted to him. Bounces up, hits him in the chest. They grab it and run in for a touchdown. I'm like, dang it. That's not the way we wanted to start. That gave them that momentum. Then there was like this batted ball that just got batted right into some dude's hands, and he just took it and ran the other way, and it's like, no. And then there was another interception, just bad interception after interception and fumble after fumble. And then there was DK Metcalf holding down Kenny Moore, and like for some reason the refs just like didn't even care that he's like holding him down and like trash talking him, which is supposed to be this like taunting and personal foul stuff. Never until Jalen Jones runs over, pushes him off, and then the ensuing stuff, throws a punch. Shouldn't have done that. But nobody even seemed to care that he's like, Kenny Moore's trying to get up and he's just holding him there and like talking to him and like all the stuff you shouldn't be doing. I don't like DK Metcalf. Everybody knows he's kind of a dirty player, which is why he got traded when he did anyway. But anyway, that happened. We should have still been able to do something, but it was just bad. All in the middle. And somehow we still ended up ending just 1 score down. But let's be real. For the whole game, it did not look like just 1 score down bad. We got beat, right? And it wasn't that it was the Pittsburgh offense playing well, because it was not. They got the ball so great, amazing field position 2 or 3 times. I mean, on that muffed punt, they had the ball like, I feel like it was on the 5. I did not go back and check this. Right there by the end zone. Could not get it in, went for it on 4th and down, did not get it. They got no points off of that. Our defense stood up and did what they had to do. Aaron Rodgers, he ended with 27 points, but he, with the opportunities he had, should have done better. The problem was the Pittsburgh defense just had our number, and when you have 6 turnovers in a game, the punt plus the 5 from Daniel Jones, you're not going to win a game. And so, needless to say, I was a little upset after the game. I didn't like anything after the game. I did tell myself, okay, you're going to have a loss here and there. I did tell myself they exposed some weaknesses that we had that we needed to have exposed. We need to like take that and learn from it and work on it. I do think the Colts can do that. They can work on those things and get better. I know right now, and I knew it was going to happen, we are at the mercy of the whole state of New York and all of the pundits and saying, yeah, this is what Daniel Jones was all along. They were never playing good teams. He's just Daniel Jones like he was with the New York Giants. And we're going to hear that until we do better. And so I'm just keeping my head down right now and saying, okay, let's do better. You know, I told myself I wasn't going to believe in Daniel Jones for a long time, and then I started letting myself believe. But I am not yet turning on Daniel Jones and saying, yeah, he's just what he was with the Giants. Everybody has games they lose. I didn't expect we would go undefeated. I know Brandon Colmark thought the Packers were going to be undefeated this year, said it several times. I never. As a matter of fact, I thought we would lose a lot, but we lost this one. I think we can get back on track here in Germany, especially with this little trade that happened today. I think that can begin to help. Now, Sauce Gardner doesn't play offense. He's not going to help us there. Daniel Jones has got to get with Shane Steichen and that offensive line. Now, granted, Gonclave's father died during the week, and he's the right guard. Correct? Right guard?
Yes.
And then it was the right side of that line that was being beat like all day long. But it wasn't just him, but there's some stuff there. Now, did I hear that Jonathan Taylor's mom passed away? I never know if stuff is fake news. I did see that headline, but that could have been, I didn't look into it enough to verify it. Jonathan Taylor had, anyway, that could have been a fake headline. Somebody could have been putting it out there just to.
I do not have anything on.
Okay, so maybe that was fake. That was probably fake. Somebody just like wanted to get me riled. Anyway, so I mean, we did have that, but I'm not making excuses. Pittsburgh defense basically outplayed us, and Aaron Rodgers did what he had to do. And I feel like we've heard that a few times about Pittsburgh this year. The defense, well, no, we've heard it both ways. We've heard it all ways. I don't know that I still think Pittsburgh is like an unbeatable team. I don't think that at all. But they definitely this day had our number. So.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers didn't really do anything remarkable. Like you said, the Steelers really didn't do anything remarkable. They were just, outside of, forcing those turnovers, yes. But it's also a game where it kind of got handed to them a little bit on turnovers, just like it was against the Patriots back in like week 3 when they forced 5-6 turnovers in that game as well. And a big part of that is just because they can get their hands up on the football and bat it down a lot more than a lot of other teams do. I think, and maybe that's just because they're older and they don't want to run as much, and they're just like, put my out of breath. I'll put my hands up. Like that's
it was working for him this week. But yeah, there were a few there when they would like bat it down and it just happens to go right into a dude's arms. Pure accident, but it's a turnover and it changes the game. And you have 2 or 3 of those, and yeah, you have to at some point just say we needed to tighten up, and we didn't. And so Colts take that loss. Hopefully they learn from that. They let it be a burr under the saddle to spur them on to play better.
And if you need a punt returner, there is a guy on your practice squad that returned punts during the preseason.
Hey, with AD Mitchell gone, we just might see an Owen Coleman raising. Now, Coleman Owen. See, I can't even get his name right. Coleman Owen. Right now, we've got Doolin and Gold ahead of him, right? And truthfully, they've been playing fine, but we may get to see him yet this year. It's easier now with AD gone. So
yes.
So that was a 27-20 game. Let's look down at our next game. 27-20. Another game by that same score. The Chargers beat the Titans 27-20. I did not get to watch this game. I have no idea how this game went. So I'm going to let you talk about the Chargers beating the Titans 27-20.
Well, the Chargers wanted to play this game on hard mode, I think. It's like when you're playing Madden and you're winning like against the computer 50-0 in the second quarter. So you turn it up all the difficulty all the way up, or you give yourself a 50-0 hold to start in and then switch to the other team and try to come back in that. And that's what the Chargers did, because Justin Herbert threw a pick 6, and then the Chargers special teams gave up a punt return touchdown. And I think it was like 14-3, 14-10 at one point. It looked scary and precarious for a little bit, but the Chargers were kind of able to put it away, and it ended basically. The turning point ended up being a 4th down stand at the goal line that gave the Chargers the ball back at the 1-yard line, and they from there went on a long 99-yard drive, pushed in a touchdown. And I think that made the score 27-17 and really put it out of reach for the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward didn't really do anything spectacular. They're still not letting him throw it a whole lot. And Justin Herbert was able to have success despite not having Joe Alt for most of that game, and despite facing another huge pressure rate from the Titans defense. So it doesn't really matter which defense is out there. I think they're going to get pressure against the Chargers this season with those 2 guys out. I don't think Trevor Penning in that trade today is going to help too much. But the Chargers have the defense, and they have Justin Herbert to hopefully get some work done in that AFC West.
Yeah, and they're sitting at 6 wins, so we're not counting them out yet. And we all thought they would beat the Titans. We think everybody will beat the Titans. Titans have 1 win. I forget who that win was over. Do you remember?
It was against the Cardinals, and it was
Yeah,
that was the epitome of a team giving the other team the victory.
it was. But the Chargers are at 6 wins, and we'll see how their season turns out. But this next game, Rams Saints, I think it's another one of those. All of us thought the Rams would win. The Rams handily won, 34-10. Saints 1-8. They look like they're only getting worse, and I think their season's as done as the Jets. So I think those two teams are going to be fighting along with the Tennessee Titans for first overall pick. And the Browns, you talked about them earlier, but they have 2 wins, and they might even have another one here soon. So I think right now you're looking at Saints, Jets, and Titans down at the bottom. But anything to say about Rams Saints?
It was just Tyler Shoug's first start, and Spencer Rattler has looked better than him. I don't know if Tyler Shough is going to be the answer at quarterback for the future for the Saints. I think Spencer Rattler has a greater claim to that than Tyler Shough.
We think Spencer Rattler has a better claim. Spencer Rattler's dad. Don't come after us.
Yes.
Let's see. Raiders, Jags. Jags beat the Raiders. I think that's what we all thought. I don't even think I thought it would be this close, though, at one point. But the Jags do end up winning that and going to 5 wins, which they are just trying to stay somewhere close to where the Colts are. They're 2 games back right now. But right now, the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans are kind of bottoming out, and I don't think they're going to make it this year. Jags are just trying to see if they can get a wild card spot right now. Raiders not good. I mean, they almost they got close, right?
Yeah.
But,
yeah. No, they were going for so it went to overtime. By the way, Cam Little hit a 68-yard field goal in this game, which is an NFL record. The announcers.
Yes.
Chris Myers, who's I think getting a little bit up there in age, did not say anything about it being an NFL record in the call on the condensed replay that I watched. Didn't have anything to say about that. But it was a 68-yard field goal that was in fact an NFL record by the guy that hit a 70-yarder in preseason. And then in overtime, Jaguars scored first, kicked an extra point. Raiders got the ball, scored a touchdown with like 6 seconds left. And Pete Carroll saved us all from having to deal with another tie because he decided to try and go for 2 and either win the game or lose the game. And with Geno Smith, they lost the game. Yeah, I saw our resident Raiders fan 2 days ago on Sunday, and I asked him about all those wins he was predicting earlier, and he said, "Yeah, no, that's not happening." But yeah, sorry, Raiders fans. It's not your year either. Chiefs, Bills. So here was our big marquee game of the week. Bills, Chiefs, of course, has been hyped because they play each other and it's always back and forth. But the Bills, I think, are usually the regular season winners. And they, once again, this is reminiscent of like the Colts Patriots, right? Colts were always regular season winners. Peyton Manning, regular season quarterback. And then Tom Brady would come in the postseason and do what he had to do. But Bills beat the Chiefs, keeping the Chiefs at 5 wins. Bills move up to 6 wins, get to that 6-2 mark. Yeah, what'd you think of this one? Bills defense looks a lot better than it had through the first half of the season. They were able to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes a lot, and that kind of rattled him. I don't think he had faced that much pressure since the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and he looked like that same player he was in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. So big credit to what that defense is doing. Maxwell Hairston in his second game got an interception against Patrick Mahomes. He was their first round pick that missed the beginning of the season with an injury. Yeah, their defense seems to be figuring it out a little bit, even now without Ed Oliver. Deion Walker is also just like, he's another rookie that was drafted in the 4th round on their defensive line that just continues to create havoc. He was a first round projected pick heading into last college football season, but dealt with a back injury and teams shied away from him because of that. And I think there might've been some character things too, but the Bills benefit from that. And he has really replaced Ed Oliver on the defensive line.
Yeah, and so the Bills have to keep winning because for once in a long, long time they're sitting second and have been for a few weeks now in that AFC East, and they're just looking at those Patriots up ahead of them. They're saying, no, 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 no. Let's not go back to that. Let's keep it where. So they've got to win, and this was a tough one because this was one they very easily could have lost against that familiar opponent. Seahawks Commanders, we talked a little bit about this game, Jaden Daniels' arm situation. But on the other side of that, Sam Darnold has been looking good, and that team is looking strong. I did not expect Seahawks this year. You know, just like everybody talks about, like every comment you hear when the Colts come up is, we didn't expect this at all. I feel the same way about the Seahawks. I didn't expect this at all. I thought Sam Darnold had a great year with the Vikings, and then he was traded, and I thought we were going to see him kind of regress. He's looked good. And 38-14, he's continuing to roll, and the Commanders couldn't stop him.
He was surgical in the first half of that game. Like it
almost perfect.
Yeah, I had never seen a quarterback throw that well while throwing and targeting deep areas of the field. At one point, when the Seahawks had pretty much put the game away, the score was 28-0. So basically, in the competitive portion of that game, Sam Darnold was 13 for 13 for 229 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he looked really good. Obviously, the stats kind of, I don't know if regressed, but they just didn't throw the balls deep from there. But he was hitting tight windows. He was hitting open windows. And now those tighter windows are going to become more open because they bring in Rashid Shaheed. And also, it doesn't help that the Commanders' defense has been really porous. Like Marshawn Lattimore has an injury. I don't know how much that'll actually end up mattering in terms of what Washington's defense is able to do the rest of the way, because they weren't good with him on the field. He wasn't having a good season. And that game kind of was the place where that was ultimately showcased so far this season. And I think the Commanders are going to have to start retooling for next year and see different ways that they can continue to build around Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. So hopefully Jaden Daniels and that team can kind of bounce back. He had such a great, first year. It's really hard to kind of fall back to earth like he's doing here now. You hope that he can get a team around him enough to rise again. But what Commanders fans was hoping would be another great sophomore year is really the sophomore slump. So Cardinals Cowboys was our Monday night game, and boy, granted, the Cardinals have been in so many like games that they could have won that they haven't. You can't say they're like a horrible team, but I don't feel like they're a great team. They're better, I think, right now with Jacoby Brissett. And while they say this doesn't change anything, that Kyler's still their starter, I think a lot of fans are like, should he be though? Should he be? Then you flip to the other side and the Cowboys. What the heck are the Cowboys doing? The Cowboys are just an enigma to me. They're like a scoring juggernaut one week, and then they do what they did on Monday. And I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin with the Cowboys and what they are.
Well, now they have Quinnen Williams, so that'll fix everything.
Everything. I think they need a new head coach, to be honest.
So yeah, the Cardinals, this was the first game for them where, we have said they could have won every game that they've been in. They could have lost every game. This was the one that left no doubt about what they could be. Jacoby Brissett, credit to the Cardinals on offense, because the Cowboys scored a touchdown late in the second half to take a 10-7 lead. I think it was a kick return or punt. No, it was a blocked punt touchdown. And that could have really demoralized the Cardinals, because they were only up 10-7 at that point. But they get the ball back. Jacoby Brissett leads the team down the field. They score a touchdown before halftime. They get the touchdown off the break as well to really put that game away early in the third quarter to go up those 3 possessions. And at that point, had not given up any points offense to the Cowboys offense, and really kind of dug their heels in. Walter Nolan, it was his first game. He was their first round pick, and he looked really, really good. He was the first player to make their NFL debut, to register 2 tackles for loss along with a sack, and I think 4 total tackles. First one to do that since TJ Watt's first game. So that is some good company to keep. the rookie class looks really good. Will Johnson has been great every single game that he's been out there. He dealt with some injuries earlier, but he was a projected first round guy that also had injury concerns. So he fell to the second round, and the Cardinals benefit from that. Calais Campbell, huge game. Like this defense has the pieces in place, I think, to be a team, a contender in the NFC West. I just think they've dug a little bit too much of a hole, but they should. I would go with Jacoby Brissett the rest of the way. The offense has looked much, much better and much, much more consistent with him. They ran the football well. That allowed them to go a lot to play action. Over 50% of the dropbacks were play action, and that allowed Jacoby Brissett to see a lot of open windows over the middle of the field that he took advantage of. And Marvin Harrison Jr. really took advantage of as well. He had a career high in catches, had 96 yards. He had a touchdown. Really good game from him. He has a little bit more chemistry, it seems, with Brissett than Kyler Murray. And I think if you're choosing a player to build your team around on offense out of the players you currently have on your roster, the right choice would be Marvin Harrison. So do what's best for him instead of what's best for Kyler Murray moving forward.
Yeah. Marvin Harrison Sr., had gotten to where he wasn't even able to watch the games. But in this one, Marvin Harrison Jr. Didn't look half bad. And Jacoby Brissett with the Cardinals, I'm saying that's what they should do. And right now they could still move Kyler Murray. Somebody would want him. Jets, Dolphins. I don't know. I guess they're tied in with Tua. There's somebody. Probably the Browns. Browns love quarterbacks. But anyway, I think the Cardinals are looking at, and somebody, I forget who it was, somebody says, I feel like I'm watching the Colts over and over again, who had all these pieces. All these like pieces that made them a really good team, but they didn't have the most important piece, the quarterback. And I just kept thinking, if they could just get the quarterback, and then they did with Daniel Jones, and things start looking really good really fast. And you're like, oh, they had all these pieces. These pieces were all there. It's just now having that quarterback. That's where the Cardinals kind of look like. They have all these pieces, but their quarterback hasn't been consistent. And now Jacoby Brissett's like kind of making it look like, hey, if you have a consistent quarterback who can do what needs to be distributed, you can do good things. And so there you are, Cardinals. Yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot to say about the Colts game. Jonathan Taylor didn't get going at all. There was no running game in that because we got so far behind. We just we never had a chance for him. I felt bad. He's been doing so great. I kind of wanted him to keep doing. He didn't do anything anyway. We're not going back to the Colts. We are, though, going to do some prognostication as we look at next week's games here, decide which ones are contested games and which ones are ones we agree on and who's going to win. So let's look at Week 10. Week 10 starts us off on Thursday night with a good old Raiders-Broncos, and I don't think it's going to be hard for either one of us to say that regardless of what happens with Bo Nix, I think the Broncos are going to win this one based on their defense messing up that Geno Smith-led offense of the Raiders. I'm picking Broncos.
I'll go Denver as well.
I better get me a piece of paper here to write this stuff down on so we can keep track. By the way, we are right now, I am 28 for 48, and you are 20 for 48 of our contested picks. The ones that we pick contested, not the ones we pick correct or incorrect, because we've picked more incorrect than that and more correct than that. So just going contested. But this one's not contested. Then we move to the Berlin game, right? Colts Falcons. It's going to happen so early. I'm probably going to have to record this and watch it, which I did with the Pittsburgh game. I was in a board meeting on that day, and I kept telling people, don't tell me what happens. Don't tell me what happens. I was expecting good things, and I got home, and I'm like, oh, stink. But hopefully this one turns out better. I am picking the Colts to bounce back in this one. I know the Falcons are one of these teams that befuddle me constantly, and I do think the addition, and I said this already, I think the addition of Sauce Gardner in there can really help us, especially in this game, to get ourselves right, to keep, because I think when you don't have that Penix to Fletcher sort of connection, their team is not as great, and I think we're pretty good about stopping the run, yeah, I know Bijan and all that stuff. I'm going Colts.
I'm going to go Falcons.
All right. We got a first contested here. This is one I feel good about contesting. You're like, so do I. And your thoughts on why?
I think that when the Falcons have been at their best, it is when it has been coming off of games where Bijan Robinson has not been able to get off in a traditional way, so they find more creative ways to get him the football in the run game, and I think that is what they will do against the Colts in this game, and I like the Falcons defense. Also, I have about 8 minutes before I have to run and pick up the kids for school.
So we're going to do this fast. This is going to be another speed run. Here we go. Speed run. Saints, Panthers. I'm going Panthers. They're 5 wins. Yeah. I think they'll continue it. Yes?
Panthers. Yes,
Panthers. Bears, Giants. We said we're off the Giants train. I think we're both picking the Bears for this one.
Yes, Bears.
Look at that, Bears fans. We're with you. Jags, Texans. I'm going Jags on this, especially with CJ Stroud out, possibly with concussion. Jags.
I'll go Jaguars.
Oh, man, we're so together. Bills, Dolphins. No problem here. Bills. Dolphins are junk.
Yes, Buffalo.
You like my great analysis here so far? Ravens, Vikings. I think this is the first one where we get like a possible, for me at least, this was the first one I thought we would be contested on. I didn't know you were going Falcons, but Ravens, Vikings. What do we got here?
It'll be too easy for JJ McCarthy and this Vikings offense to put the Ravens defense where they belong, which is the early season trash pile where they were to begin the year.
All right. I'm going to, just for contesting sake, we got to have some games. I'm going Ravens on this. Their defense looked better last week, and Lamar looked like he didn't miss a beat. I'm going to say this is going to be a good game, but I'm going to give us a good contesting here. Look at this. We're going against each other's teams. We don't often do that, but okay. Got our second contestant. How about Jets, Browns? I'm going Browns. I said that I think they're getting their next win, their third win. I think the Jets have just let pieces go that were important to them, and they're going to be having rookies or backups in those positions. I think the Browns.
This is a tank bowl game, and I'm going to go with the Jets. I will contest this one.
All right. Look at that. We got our next contest. Patriots, Bucks. I'm just going to say it right now. I think this is probably my marquee game of the week. Patriots, Bucks I think it's going to be a good game. I'm actually going Patriots on this one.
I'm going to go Patriots as well. The Tom Brady Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Cardinals, Seahawks. I think Sam just continues to steamroll. I don't care how good Jacoby Brissett is. I think the Seahawks win this one.
Yes, I go Seattle as well.
49ers, Rams. I'm going with Rams. Although we always said that every time I vote for whatever I vote for the 49ers, they go the opposite. But I am picking the Rams to win this one. They're both 6-win teams, but I just feel like the Rams have to be good enough to beat the 49ers. I know that's not always the case, but are we contesting?
Precisely because of what you said and foregoing all other logic that would point me in the direction of the Rams, I will go anti-Matthew 49ers and go with the
Smart
49ers.
pick. And then we have Lions, Commanders. I'm going Lions. Commanders not even going to have Jaden Daniels. They're going to have Marcus Mariota. No, give me the Lions.
Yeah, I'll go Lions as well.
All right. Steelers, Chargers. Whoo! Steelers just coming off of a big win against the NFL's number one team. Their defense looked better than it has in a while, I think. Chargers not looking as great. They have a lot of trouble going on, but I would normally pick them as my favorite to win this one. This is a tough one, but I'm going Chargers.
I'm going to go Steelers.
Yes.
I think they will be able to slow down the altless and Slaterless offensive line.
All right. And then that brings us to Eagles Pack. Eagles Pack on Monday night.
Oh man, two teams that I can't really pick. I'll go Packers because I just don't like Philadelphia more than I dislike the Packers in our rivalry.
All right, I always said I'm perfect when I have 5 contested games, but I'm going 6 because I think the Eagles are going to win this one. Packers are finally going to slip back in their division. So we got us 6 contested games here. Marquee game real quick. I said already, Tampa Bay Patriots. What do you got?
Yeah, for me, I am going to go with that Packers-Eagles game. They seem to always be close, and it's a playoff rematch.
Manure, I'm going Browns-Jets. You have to agree with me on that.
I do agree, but for the sake of differences, I will go with the NFC South battle, the Saints and the Panthers.
Oh, Panthers have been looking a little better, but let's go my game. I think whoa, do I want to go Ravens Vikings or do I want to go? Yeah, I'm going to go Ravens Vikings.
Mine, I'm going to go the Colts Falcons. I'll go. So we both picked each other's as the my oh my.
Look at that. All right. Well, that looks like it's going to do it for us here. Thanks for joining us today. I just want you to say that is the wrong pad, but I like it, so I let it play. But hey, thanks for joining us here on the Football Fandemic, where we pick the games, we talk about them. It's going to be fun to watch what happens with Sauce Gardner. So come back and join us next week to see how that all went and more right here on the Football Fandemic. Thanks for watching, y'all.